what's really an influencer? For me, a definition of an influencer is someone that has followers. I'll give you that. Yep, followers. But can they turn their followers into a CTA, call to action? And call to action could be them buying a service, purchasing a product, or influencing a group that will convert into revenue or currency. That's just me. I mean, I'm a finance guy just like you. I'm a finance guy just like you, Mikey. But to me, an influencer is someone that can influence a crowd or their following and turn them into conversion into currencies. Because you can be this influencer all you want. You can get all those likes all you want. But if you're not paying the bills, guess what? You're going to end up out there and not having that nice car, not having that Louis Vuitton, not having that red bottom shoes. You know, you want those red bottom shoes, you got to figure out somehow, some way to turn those following into currencies. That's just me, you know. So anyone else who wants to throw what an influencer to them is?
All right. So, so when you're looking at it from a business monetization perspective, right? For me, an influencer is someone who has the ability through their messaging, whether it's digital, right in front of you, alliance way, however you create your messaging or whatever platform you use on your messaging, they have the ability to orchestrate people to make buying decisions based off of that. So like because subconsciously through your platform, people have given you the authority, the knowledge, the position to be able to allow them to be influenced, right? So now getting to like when you kind of unpack that a little bit, right? Where does that really come from? Well, if you're talking to probably Jody and myself, we would say it would come from having like a spirit of servitude. So like by me like humbling myself and lowering myself, I allow people to edify me and therefore become an influencer, right? And so there's this kind of dance that's happening with like humility and leadership and servitude that's just kind of going back and forth, right? And I think that the two fundamental cores of that is either you're informing people of something or you're entertaining them, or if you're really creative, you're doing both at the same time, right? So like, I think when you're talking about, Carlo, like monetizing influence and all of those different types of things, that's the kind of mindset or that to me is like how we go about it. I mean, with the stuff that I do on all the digital channels that I'm on, like that's what we aim to do. We aim to inform and we aim to entertain, you know? So you're gonna get a combination of like really thought-provoking dialogue. You're gonna get a combination of like very fun dialogue. You're gonna get some very informational dialogue, you know, but it's always, you know, meant to be transparent. It's meant to be authentic, and hopefully you find it to be useful. And in that case, if you do, chances are you're allowing me to influence you, you know? So that's my take.
Mikey, you are a gentleman and a scholar. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise, bro. And that's why the way he explained, I have a different way of explaining things. And when you have a different type of knowledge like Mikey has, he has a different way of explaining things. And this is the beauty of this boardroom type like virtual cast. You can really acquire knowledge in a different perspective. So anyone else wants to chime in? Fire away.
Influencer to me is a role model because, I mean, we don't really get taken seriously, but we're out here trying to promote and, you know, like Carlos said, like pay our own bills. Like we don't really, in Jacksonville, it's hard to find these girls because, as we talked about earlier, like they're mainly here are sorority girls or girls who just have a lot of followers and aren't doing much. So we're brought up here thinking that that's all it is, but we actually want to make a difference. Like I want to use my platform to actually make a difference on the planet because I'm tired of seeing everything go bad. It's not fun, especially for my generation. But I really think it should be a role model who is out here actually doing good and not only using her platforms for pictures or attention. It's actually someone out there helping the community.
Someone who uses their platform to spread positive and resourceful information is something I look up to because personally I spread a lot of positivity and that's genuinely just who I am, but I look for that in people that I follow, people that are uplifting, you know, and things that inspire me. So fitness is really my niche. So I follow a lot of fitness accounts, but not just people that post pictures and stuff like that. I think videos are very resourceful. So when you have like a large following, you kind of feel like you have a responsibility, and
Oh yeah,
you don't just,
you have a lot of eyes on you. You have to keep up, not even keep up a good image, be the good image. Because if you're just out here faking it, you're also not doing your part. You're just out here putting out fake content like everybody else. So be very genuine.
I love what everybody was saying, and really it's crazy because after the networking group that we had just here a couple hours ago, I ended up having an impromptu phone call with a really good friend of mine, and he asked me what he was asking me for some feedback on a business decision at first, and then he kind of asked me what changed in my business. And I said the biggest thing that changed in my business was I took myself out of the equation. I stopped worrying about what was going on in my life, and I started focusing on what I could do for other people. And that was the biggest thing that changed for me. So when we talk about service and like they were saying, you know, like they're part of the younger generation over there too. And I love hearing their feedback on that too, because that kind of helps people like me, the older guys, you know, and just listening to that on what they like to see, because, and then I have a 10-year-old, so just kind of watching what she looks at and things like that, and what I want her to be able to see. So, you know, when I wrote this book, there's a reason I put her on the front cover. Like, that's my daughter. That's life. That's when you're reclaiming your life. You're a child. You don't know what the world has yet. But when you start learning that, you need people who you can trust, who you feel compelled to ask questions to. And there's a lot of people out there giving advice, but they don't care. And it's a sad world that we live in right now, but that is the God honest truth. And I think when we start learning how to be vulnerable and transparent and genuine, and just stop worrying about what can you do for me, and start thinking more about what can I do for you, that's when things start shifting, and that's when our businesses start to take off. And I know that's what I've seen in mine. So
There's an old adage that was mentioned in one of our calls, and he said, people don't care about how much you know until you show them how much you care. We do this every Tuesdays now. This is our Chapter 1 event. So keep following us. Chapter 2 next week. And by the way, I know you guys are in California, but we are doing an influencer social mixer next year, 4th of July here in Jacksonville Beach. So if you guys can make it, that would be so awesome. I know it's 1 year ahead away, but we're letting you know right now that's going to be our very first event. Do I hear California takeover?